Hello, everyone. I'm so grateful that I can have this time with you to read out of the Book of Mormon. We're in chapter 19 of Mosiah. Let me just pull up that window. Swap between them. This. Okay, chapter 19. The last thing that happened was people of Alma, or those who had listened to Alma's teachings, were baptized, and then the king discovered their movement and sent his army to find them, and they escaped with the help of someone, I guess the Lord. So someone warned them of the king's coming, so they escaped into the wilderness, which just means, I guess it just means the wild. So here we are in chapter 19, and the theme of this chapter is that the prophecies of Abinadi are now coming true. And why are they coming true? I think we'll talk about that. And it came to pass that the army of the king turned, having searched in vain for the people of the Lord. And now behold, the forces of the king were small, having been reduced, and there began to be a division among the remainder of the people. And the lesser part began to breathe out threatenings against the king, and there began to be a great contention among them. And now there was a man among them whose name was Gideon, and he being a strong man and an enemy to the king. Okay, so Gideon's an enemy to the king, and the people are having disputes, a division, contention. What are they fighting over? I guess you have to think that there must be some animosity toward the king just building up over time, perhaps because of his misappropriation of the tax funds, or because of his willingness to go round up the people of Alma who were just exploring their religious freedom. Perhaps it's that these people want power, or perhaps they just want to tear down power. But whatever it is, it seems like it's been growing. People have gotten used to not liking their king. And so maybe the prophecies of Abinadi were more of a warning and less of a creation of, the Lord isn't trying to destroy the king or the people. He's more just warning of the natural consequences. When you don't treat people well, they're going to not like you, and eventually that starts an insurrection. So here we have the insurrection, and Gideon appears to be one of the leaders, or the most bold among them. So he drew his sword, and swore in his wrath that he would slay the king. And it came to pass that he fought with the king. The king saw that he was about to overpower. He fled and ran, and got upon the tower which was near the temple. This is more sort of his place of safety, I guess. It's the place that he built to look over the whole land. Not sure why he wanted to go there, but it seemed like it was a spot that he could climb up when he was close to it. And Gideon pursued after him and was about to get upon the tower to slay the king. And the king cast his eyes round about towards the land of Shemlon. And behold, the army of the Lamanites were within the borders of the land. Yes, so another natural consequence of not defending your borders well because of your indolence and pride, arrogance. So now the Lamanites are coming on them too. Everything's happening at once. But in this case, it's more or less fortunate for the king. And now the king cried out in the anguish of his soul, saying, Gideon, spare me, for the Lamanites are upon us, and they will destroy us. Yea, they will destroy my people. And now the king was not so much concerned about his people as he was about his own life. Nevertheless, Gideon did. There's some justice in this Gideon. There's some respect for authority, because the people need the authority. People need that authority to gather themselves together to fight the Lamanites, or at least to answer the threat of the Lamanites. So let's see how the king handles this situation. It's suddenly upon them. And the king commanded the people that they should flee before the Lamanites, and he himself did go before them. And they did flee into the wilderness with their women and their children. And it came to pass that the Lamanites did pursue them, and did overtake them, and began to slay them. Now it came to pass that the king commanded them that all the wives and their children and flee before the Lamanites. Oh my. Now there were many that would not leave them, but had rather stay and perish with them. And the rest left their wives and their children and fled. And it came to pass that those who tarried with their wives and their children caused that their fair daughters should stand forth and plead with the Lamanites that they would not slay them. And it came to pass that the Lamanites had compassion on them, for they were charmed with the beauty of their women. Therefore the Lamanites did spare their lives, and took them captives, and carried them back to the land of Nephi, and granted unto them that they might possess the land, under the conditions that they would deliver up King Noah into the hands of the Lamanites. So even the Lamanites don't like King Noah. And deliver up their property, even one half of all they possessed, one half of their gold, their silver, and all their precious things. And thus they should pay tribute to the king of the Lamanites from year to year. So they finally got their desire. They wanted to take the Nephites captive and glut themselves on their labors. They wanted their precious things, their property. And year to year, it's going to be one half of everything they possess, which is an incredible tax. And now there was one of the sons of the king among those that were taken captive, whose name was Limhi. And now Limhi was desirous that his father should not be destroyed. Nevertheless, Limhi was not ignorant of the iniquities of his father, he himself being a just man. And it came to pass that Gideon sent men into the wilderness secretly to search for the king and those that were with him. And it came to pass that they met the people in the wilderness, all save the king and his priests. Now they had sworn in their hearts that they would return to the land of Nephi, and if their wives and their children were slain, and also those that had tarried with them, they would seek revenge and also perish with them. They're having a change of heart. After Noah taught them to be cowards and not protect their families, they realize that's really not a good life strategy if you want to be happy in your life. You have to protect those you care about. And so they come back to try to rescue them or die with them, like their brothers first chose to do. And the king commanded them that they should not return. Oh my goodness, he's advocating a policy of cowardice, of full-on rebellion against, all that they hold dear. And they were angry with the king, no doubt, and caused that he should suffer even unto death by fire. Whoa. That was what Abinadi prophesied. And they were about to take the priests also and put them to death, and they fled before them. And it came to pass that they were about to return to the land of Nephi, and they met the men of Gideon. And the men of Gideon told them all that had happened to their wives and their children, and that the Lamanites had granted unto them that they might possess the land by paying a tribute to the Lamanites of one half of all they possessed. The people told the men of Gideon that they had slain the king, and his priests had fled from them farther into the wilderness, which we'll see what happens to them later. And it came to pass that after they had ended the ceremony, that they returned to the land of Nephi, rejoicing, because their wives and their children were not slain. And they told Gideon what they had done to the king. And it came to pass that the king of the Lamanites made an oath unto them, that his people should not slay them. And also Limhi, being the son of the king, having the kingdom conferred upon him by the people, made oath unto the king of the Lamanites, that his people should pay tribute unto him, even one half of all they possessed. And it came to pass that Limhi began to establish the kingdom, and to establish peace among his people. Finally, a reversal. their fortunes are looking a little better. They're still under oath to give the king of the Lamanites what they half of all they possess, which is incredible. But at least they have some peace, and they're not under a wicked king anymore. And it came to pass that Limhi began to establish the kingdom. Yes. And the king of the Lamanites set guards round about the land, that he might keep the people of Limhi in the land, that they might not depart into the wilderness. And he did support his guards out of the tribute which he did receive from the Nephites. And now King Limhi did have continual peace in his kingdom for the space of 2 years, that the Lamanites did not molest them, nor seek to destroy them. I kind of wonder if the half of all they possessed was just a one-time thing, or are they giving them half of everything over and over again every year? I feel like it's got to be a one-time thing, but then all their increases they give half of. So otherwise, half, and then all you have left is a quarter, and then all you have left is an eighth. Or maybe these people were, not saving their things up. I don't know. But it's still an incredible tax to have to pay half of everything you grow. All of your work is halved, which, there have been taxes that high. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's pretty hard for an agricultural economy because they need most of their food, or at least you'd think they would. So it's pretty amazing that they were able to have peace for even 2 years and still pay that tax, at least in my opinion. So we're going to see what happens to the priests of King Noah. We're going to see what happens to the people of King Limhi. It's kind of coming back around to the beginning of the story where, was it Ammon went and found the people? Let's see here. Back in chapter 8. Let's pull my face up. Back in chapter 8, it was Ammon. He visited the people of Limhi. So now we get to see that's how Limhi came to be. He was the son of King Noah. He was the son of Zeniff. And Zeniff came out of the land of, I don't know where, Zarahemla? Yeah, the land of Zarahemla. So it's been 2 generations since Zeniff, 2 generations of the kings. They say that it was about 121 BC when Ammon found them, and before that, well, I guess Zeniff would have been about 200 to 187 BC, so maybe 60 to 80 years. 21, 66 to 80 years since they left. And now they're in bondage to the Lamanites because of their wickedness. And this is all prophesied because they wouldn't repent. That's what happened to them. But it was more or less just the consequence of them living in the land of the Lamanites, with the Lamanites being enemies to them. And the king not treating their people right, not protecting them well. So the cursings of God are usually just lack of protection. They can be a little more dramatic, but God's trying to help his people. He's not trying to hurt them. He's trying to save us from our sins. So that's all I've got for you. We'll see the end of the story in the next 5 or 10 chapters. It's just an amazing story. It's all the way through chapter 25, I think. So thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.